Howdy, everyone. For the discussion this week, I'm going to talk about the person who stood out to me the most, which is definitely Augustine. Part of the reason he stood out to me was because I'm actually writing a paper about him right now, so it just worked out perfectly. Anyways, I think what I liked about his story is that it felt really relatable. Like, he wasn't just faithful from the start. He spent quite a while searching for meaning in his life and going down many different rabbit holes, like Manichaeism, I think is how you say it, and other things before finally committing to God and Christianity. The reading talks about how he basically had this restless kind of life, and you can really see that in the way he kept jumping from different philosophies trying to find truth. One part that really stood out to me was that he, during his conversion, was that he was weeping with agonizing anguish in his heart, and then he heard a voice saying, "Pick it up, read it, pick it up, read it." The moment just felt very personal and emotional. It's not just a calm, logical decision, it just kind of hit him all at once, emotionally and spiritually, causing him to convert. And it's really cool how he had really personal interaction with him hearing the voice. I think that's what makes Augustine so interesting, because his faith really comes out of his struggle, not just tradition, being raised that way, or just some feat of logic. I think Augustine also really connects pretty well to what we learned about the Trinity this week as well. In the reading, it talks about how he tries to explain the Trinity using things like memory, understanding, will, and I thought that was interesting because it lines up with what we talked about in the lecture, how the Trinity is one God and three different persons who are all fully God. Instead of just leaving it as something confusing, Augustine uses logic that he was trying to use earlier in his search for religion to make it make sense in a way that people can actually relate to, even if it's not the most perfect explanation. You can argue about little things, but it's still interesting nonetheless. And then with Christology, I think the connection I found was how much Augustine emphasizes grace. The reading makes it clear that humans can't just earn salvation on their own. We need God. So Christ becomes really central, because Christ, who is fully God and fully human, is the one that makes that relationship with God possible. It's really the divine paradox, that one that we can't really understand. If God is, I've heard this before, the saying before, and I think it fits this well: if God was small enough for us to understand, he wouldn't be big enough to worship, which I think this is one of those ideas. That lines up with what we learn about who Christ is and why he matters, both historically and theologically. So yeah, I mean, just in conclusion, I think that Augustine stood out to me the most because he really connects deep theology with real life in a way that makes sense and is really relatable, instead of just using just abstract ideas. Well, that's all I got, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of your responses.